Hey folks, how's it going? This is Waj, and in this video we're going to be doing a direct head-to-head comparison between two 21.5-inch iMacs. I'm obviously talking about the brand new 4K iMac that just came in versus the standard 1080p model. So for those of you guys that are in the market for a new iMac or a new all-in-one PC and are thinking about potentially going to the 4K iMac, or even thinking what the differences are between like a 4K and a 1080p all-in-one display, this is going to be a perfect video for you. We're going to take a look at the actual display quality differences as well as the internal capabilities of both computers. So if you're interested, let's get right into it. Now specifically, the 21.5-inch iMac on the left-hand side is not actually the latest spec, it's actually the mid-2014 model. Apple has revamped all the internal specs of the current lineup of iMac computers. Now the 4K iMac on the left-hand side is obviously the late 2015 model, but as you can see, there's pretty much no physical distinction between these two. In fact, there's only one real difference between the two externally, and that's the new 4K iMac has a Thunderbolt 2 connectivity versus we have Thunderbolt 1 connection on the 2014 model. Now the whole purpose of upgrading to a 4K iMac is obviously going to be that display, and in terms of specific resolutions, it's pretty darn impressive. It has a native resolution of 4096 by 2304. That's pretty darn remarkable considering it only has a 21.5-inch diagonal screen size. It has a very high PPI count of about 218 versus the 1080p iMac has a PPI count of about 102. Now in video, it's kind of hard to demonstrate the real difference between the two. For that, you really have to see the 4K iMac in person. One of the things you'll notice right away is how clear and sharp everything is. Now, a 1920 by 1080 is still a fairly high resolution for a 21-inch display, but a good way to describe the difference between the two is like when you're looking at the 1080p screen, it feels like you're looking at the world through a screen door, versus the 4K display is like peeking into the outside world without any obstructions. Everything feels a little bit more realistic, and you get this impression of infinite depth, which kind of makes it feel like you're looking through a window rather than a conventional display. And if anything else, it's really more of a subtle difference than going from standard definition to high definition. And once you see different photos and videos in this ultra high definition content, you kind of don't want to go back to the 1080p resolution, which definitely kind of spoils you. And at the moment, ultra definition content is growing, but it's still pretty sparse compared to what's available in full HD. That being said, one of the great things about having a higher resolution display is the ability to have more screen real estate, and luckily with OS X you have a whole bunch of different DPI scaling options, so you can optimize it for clarity or for more screen and desktop real estate. And as you can see over here, we can definitely work with a lot more windows, a lot more applications on our 4K display than we can do on our 1080p display. Now, besides the ultra high definition display that we get on the new iMac, what you're also getting is upgraded internals compared to the previous generation iMacs, as you would naturally expect. So let's actually do a comparison between the two in terms of the internal specification. Now, obviously, we have the baseline configuration of the mid-2014 version of the iMac. So it comes with a Core i5 processor clocked at about 1.4 gigahertz, and it can turbo up to 2.7 gigahertz, versus the baseline configuration of the 4K iMac comes with a quad-core Core i5 chip clocking about 3.1 gigahertz, and it can turbo up to 3.6 gigahertz, so much faster theoretically. And in terms of RAM, we have 8 gigabytes on both, but the new iMacs are clocked in a little bit higher in terms of frequency, 1867 megahertz. Now, just to give you guys a demonstration of what the speed difference is between the two, let's take a look at the Geekbench results that we gathered from both iMacs, and you can see we get a much higher score on the 4K iMac, both in terms of single and multi-core capabilities, so about 3700 and about 12,000 respectively, versus the previous generation iMac from 2014 got about 2500 and 4700 respectively. Furthermore, in terms of the Cinebench R15 benchmark, which is exclusively going to test out our CPU performance, again, the results are mirrored from what we saw in Geekbench 3, so about 577 points on the 4K iMac and about 433 points on our 1080p 2014 version of the iMac. Now, last but not least, we're going to test out the graphical capabilities of these two computers. Now, graphics are certainly important, especially when you're editing video and playing games and things like that. Now, in terms of specs, we're using Intel 6200 series graphics on our 4K iMac. And in order to test the graphical capabilities, we're going to use Unigen's Heaven benchmark. We're going to set the resolution to 1280 by 800 and set the quality to medium detail settings. And basically, here are the results over here. We get about 43 average frames per second on our 4K iMac and about 34.2 average frames per second on our 1080p iMac from 2014. But really, other than that, guys, that's really it. Definitely let me know what you guys think of the two computers. Would you go for a 4K iMac opposed to a 1080p version? You definitely have to go out there and kind of see the physical differences in reality. This video kind of illustrates just the more specification difference and the performance differences between the two, and certainly what the desktop real estate is offered on the 4K iMac. So for those of you guys that are wanting to get something different in your all-in-one PC, definitely go check out the 4K iMac. In most regards, you are going to be paying a pretty decent premium for it. So some of you guys might not find that value in ultra high definition displays at this point, but it's certainly interesting to see where things are at the moment. But really, thank you so much for watching. Give us a thumbs up if you like this video, and we'll see you later. Take care.